The case is styled Kinder Morgan Production Company, LLC, as plaintiffs versus AC Newman and others as defendants. This hearing is being conducted by remote video teleconferencing technology using the Zoom protocol. It is also being live streamed on the court's YouTube channel in order to provide access to the public to court hearings. Because it is being presented in these two mediums, the court announces a prohibition. All parties are prohibited from recording this proceeding or any portion of it by whatever means a person might otherwise record any portion. That is prohibited. There is one exception. The exception is for the official court reporter who is transcribing this proceeding just as he would do if we were in person in court. With those comments, Mr. Cotton, on behalf of plaintiffs, are you and your clients ready to proceed?
Yes, Your Honor, the plaintiffs are ready.
And Mr. Green, you have been appointed by the court to represent the defendants in this action. Are you ready to proceed?
Yes, Your Honor, I'm ready.
All right, Mr. Cotton, you may proceed.
Your Honor, I'd like to ask Kevin Watkins to testify.
And is Mr. Miller going to testify as well later?
Yes, Your Honor, he is.
Let me swear both of you in at one time. If you would, please raise your right hand and be sworn as witnesses. Do you and each of you solemnly swear that the testimony you may give in this cause shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Miller, do you so
Yes,
swear?
sir.
All right.
Yes.
Thank you. You may lower your hand. Mr. Cotton, you may proceed with your witness, Mr. Watkins.
Kevin, could you state your full name for the court, please?
Kevin Thomas Watkins.
And where do you reside?
I live in San Angelo, Texas.
And were you employed by Kinder Morgan Production Company to obtain oil and gas leases covering the area that's in question in this proceeding?
That is correct. I work for Percheron LLC, and we were contracted by Kinder Morgan to do the various landman activities.
Now, Kinder Morgan previously filed a receivership, but that was for a different part of town. Is that right? And they call that phase one. Is that right?
That is correct. They had split this area up into two, a phase one and a phase two.
So this proceeding is for what you refer to as phase two, and it covers a completely different area than that in the first receivership. Is that correct?
That is correct, sir.
Could you tell the court your credentials and background, please?
I'm a petroleum landman. I've been a landman for 26 years. I'm a CPL, which is the certification from the AAPL, the American Association of Petroleum Landmen. I've been doing all facets of land work since the mid-90s.
Could you describe the efforts that you have used to locate the defendants in this proceeding?
We treat this project like we do all of the projects. We do run title, and as we try to locate people, we use all the county records, district court, tax offices, anything we would normally do in the regular county. And then beyond that, we start internet searches if we cannot, through Ancestry, find people, various other counties where we know they may have lived, searching their online records to see if we can find them that way. Yep, just all the general ways that you do it these days.
And none of these defendants have rendered their interest for taxation on the Scurry County tax roll for the past 5 years. Is that correct?
That is correct.
And in the course of trying to locate these people, if you get telephone leads, then you call the individuals. Is that correct, to try to locate them? Is that right?
That's correct. Any kind of information, any kind of lead we get, we do try to reach out and contact them.
Now, since the filing of this proceeding, there have been several individuals come forward. Is that correct?
That is correct. They've reached out to us individually.
And then also based on my knowledge, as well as Mr. Green, the attorney ad litem, there have been several other individuals that you were able to locate based on our input. Is that correct?
That's correct.
And we've we've got an order of a partial dismissal in this proceeding that's been approved by the court dismissing those defendants. Is that correct?
That is correct.
And as for the remaining defendants, have you had any leads since that partial dismissal or prior to that?
No.
And Kinder Morgan is the owner of an undivided leasehold interest in this phase 2. Is that correct?
That is correct.
I'll pass the witness.
Mr. Watkins, after you did your search engines, did anybody come forward and say that they were interested and may have an interest in the properties?
No, not actually the properties in general, but as far as maybe some people that had responded to the notice in the paper, yeah, we did have some of that.
All right. I noticed one of the defendants was Alexander Payne Lefevre. He was a former lawyer that lived here in Scurry County, and I think he got disbarred. Were you able to locate him by any chance?
You know, I was not the one that actually searched that out. I know Kelly has, and he would probably be able to answer that question as far as some of the people that have reached out and any kind of information after the actual original searches.
All right. There's also I think a Rita Handback Short. Miss Short was the daughter of Hazel Handback, a local teacher. Did she come forward by any chance?
Not to my knowledge, unless Kelly can say otherwise.
So everything that you did was fruitless. You weren't able to contact anybody as a result of your search engines that you didn't already.
That we couldn't already find? Yes, sir, that is correct.
All right. I believe I'll pass the witness, Your Honor.
That's all I have for this witness.
All right, thank you. You may call your next witness.
I'd like to call Kelly Miller.
All right, Mr. Miller, you've previously been sworn. You'll be under that oath.
Yes, sir, Judge.
Okay, Kelly, could you state your credentials for the court, please?
Yes, good morning, everybody. My name is Kelly Miller. I've been a petroleum landman for 30 plus years. I'm a member of the American Association of Petroleum Landman. Can you hear me? Mr. Cotton?
I can hear you.
Okay. What else, sir?
Do you reside in Houston? Is that right?
Oh, sir, I live in San Antonio now.
Okay. And you've heard Mr. Watkins testify as to the efforts that you've used to locate these defendants. And you also attempted to locate a lot of these defendants.
Yes, sir.
Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
And other than the ones that we've discussed, have you been able to locate any of the defendants in this proceeding?
I have. Two that were on the list I was able to contact personally and send out leases to, being Yvonne Davis and the heir of Leroy Brown, which is Lana Brown McKinney. I spoke with both of them within the last week, and I have sent both of them out new lease offers, and they were accepting of our, offer.
And those are the individuals that have been dismissed from this proceeding.
Yes, sir.
Now, if the court sees fit to appoint a receiver on these interests, we're asking the court to approve lease terms of $250 per net mineral acre, a 5-year term, and a 3/16 royalty. And are those terms at least equivalent to, if not better than, the vast majority of the leases that have already been acquired within the area?
Yes, sir. That's correct.
I'll pass the witness.
Mr. Miller, whenever you publish the notice in the newspaper, do you publish a contact person that they could get in touch with by any chance?
Yes, sir. We use Mr. Cotton's office there in Snyder as a contact, for the local office there.
Do you know whether or not you had any persons or defendants that contacted anyone besides Mr. Cotton, perhaps?
Not to the best of my knowledge, Mr. Green.
Okay. You say this is phase 2.
Yes, sir.
Basically, what does it cover? Can you tell me?
Well,
What area?
phase 2 basically is out toward the bypass and the railroad tracks. And just east of all that, in south, that would take in what we consider phase 2, which is located but mostly in section 155, block 3 of the H&G Railroad. A lot of subdivisions, Mr. Green.
All right. Did you also do computer searches or computer engine searches
yes,
on all
sir.
these?
Yes, sir.
Were you
Yes,
able to
sir.
get any responses from that search or those searches?
Other than Mrs. McKinney that I spoke with and Mrs. Davis, those were the only 2 individuals we could locate.
Okay. I believe that's all the questions I have, Your Honor. Thank you, Mr. Miller.
You're very welcome, Mr. Green.
Mr. Miller, Mr. Green mentioned Alex Lefevre. Did you try to locate him or his heirs?
The search engine, we could not locate them, Mr. Cotton.
Well, as Rita Handback Short.
No, sir.
And I informed you that the Ramirez family came into my office and
Yeah.
You've contacted them. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
And they've been dismissed from this proceeding. Your Honor, that's all the questions I have for this witness.
Mr. Green, do you have any witnesses you wish to call?
No, Your Honor, we do not.
All right. Mr. Cotton, you want to sum up what you are requesting?
Yes, Your Honor, we're asking the court to appoint a receiver to execute an oil and gas lease covering the interest of these unknown defendants in the lands described in the petition. And we're asking that Bobby Forbes be appointed as receiver to execute the lease and to perform all the other duties under the Texas Civil Practice and Remedies Code.
All right. Mr. Green, do you have any requested action?
No, Your Honor, the lease proposed is a fair lease and it's fairly common in the area. So we would ask the court to approve it also.
All right. I grant plaintiff's action seeking the appointment of a receiver. I appoint Bobby Forbes as that receiver. I approve the proposed lease for the receiver to enter into on behalf of the defendants to the parties to this suit. Anything further?
No, Your Honor.
No,
Thank you
Your
for the
Honor.
rest.
All right. Thank you all. Thank you for joining us in this manner. We will be in recess. Mr. Cotton, you'll present that judgment, at least circulate it through Mr. Green, so that if there's anything irregular, and I certainly don't anticipate that, then he would have the opportunity to note any objections there too.
Yes, Your Honor.
With that, we're in recess.